Well, every neighbor I talked to today heard that barrage of gunfire last night. A lot of them dealing with property damage today to their cars and homes. This car here had 2 of its windows shot out, and neighbors here say that they want to let city leaders know they should not have to live like this.
Every single day, it's like warfare out here. I mean, we hear gunshots all the time.
Neighbors in Greenwood forced to take cover in their own homes after a shootout among multiple suspects on their street.
I was nervous. I was just kind of like thinking like, what do I do if something does hit the wall or the window? Because I just wasn't sure what directions they were going to go next.
You can see on video as a neighbor's car windows are shot out. Seattle police recovered more than 30 shell casings and bullet fragments, but said no one reported being injured. All around this neighborhood, though, we found bullet holes in car windows and homes, including one that went right through this window in Phil Roberts' rental unit.
Well, I know it's the kitchen. These are really nice people, and I was just afraid for them. I don't know what to do about it.
Neighbors here say it's not the first time. After a shooting in March injured one person, they put planters out in the street to try and discourage criminals from speeding through, according to one neighbor who wanted to remain anonymous.
It's so much trash and so much garbage and just craziness that we're having to deal with. Like when I come home, I'm literally walking through like prostitutes, like changing clothes and everything on my front porch, basically.
Others, like Roberts, have put up more lighting to keep prostitution out of their front yards.
Where they would park in front of the unit as a place to have sex. So when they pull up and park and the lights come on, then they do that less now.
We know what the cause of this is. We know that the prostitution is bringing all this gun violence, this gangs, the human trafficking up here, and it just is unfathomable to me that the city is doing absolutely nothing to prevent it.
And Seattle police have not announced any arrests or said how many people they are looking for, but from that video, it appears they're looking for at least 3 possible shooters. Reporting live in Seattle, Leanne Witt.
Well, this wild shootout was caught on camera in the Greenwood neighborhood last night. Look at the shots being fired right here, pretty much indiscriminately spraying. No idea where they might end up landing. Well, families were shaken up after hearing the gunfire and then learning those bullets went through homes and vehicles. Police found over 30 shell casings at the crime scene. I talked with Lynn Ann Wynn tonight about the neighbors who feel like no one is helping put a stop to this ongoing violence. Lynn Ann, thanks so much for being with us here on ARC Seattle tonight. We appreciate it. So another situation, another violent situation on Aurora. A lot of people up there on edge after this is happening once again. And I understand the shots that were fired in this rolling gun duel, I guess, whatever you want to call it, went through a house and car, and potentially someone could have been killed. Fortunately, no one was.
Yeah, Preston, we talked to several neighbors out here, and everyone, of course, heard it. You can hear in the video just several rounds of gunfire. Neighbors told me it sounded like an automatic weapon almost, or semi-automatic. And so we went around the neighborhood today just to see if we could see any damage, and we saw multiple cars, either with shattered windows or bullet holes. And then some neighbors also showed us bullet holes through their kitchen windows. Some reported bullet holes through their bedrooms. So it could have been obviously much worse. We did ask Seattle police, what exactly happened here? Was anybody injured? And they told us nobody reported any injuries. And so far as we know, there haven't been any arrests. It's unclear how many people they're looking for at this point. But on the video, you see at least 3 possible shooters shooting down the street at somebody. They get in their cars and then kind of chase after them, continue shooting. And then they're obviously is probably at least a 4th person that they were shooting at. And I'm not sure if that person was possibly shooting back at them. But some of the homes that we saw damage on, I didn't even realize just kind of how or where those bullets were coming from, because where we are now, if on the video they were going this way, but there's really bullets all over the place. So it kind of seems like they might have just pointing at each other and just shooting, and without a care about how many people live here, how many families. I mean, this is a residential area. There's apartment buildings, there's duplexes, there's multiple homes, and there's a lot of businesses out here. And so we have been in this area before for shootings in the past, so it's not new to this area. A lot of neighbors say that this has happened before, and they have really done a lot out here as far as security. They put up security cameras, they put up more lighting, they put up fencing, but at this point, they just don't really know what else to do.
Yeah, I looked at that video you sent in, and like you said, an automatic or semi-automatic. It's clear to me that one of the guys that walked out and started firing his shots was using potentially, most likely, one of those Glock switches on a Glock handgun, and it looked like he fired around 30 rounds within maybe 10 seconds. That's how fast they can unload those things. But some of the comments on that video, I think it was on a YouTube page. One person said spray and pray. I mean, they were basically just spraying bullets in a neighborhood with people, and it wasn't even that late. People were probably still awake at that hour, just milling about in their house, etc. But I cannot believe no one was injured. And these people seem to have absolutely no regard for human life, really not even aiming at anybody, just spraying bullets, hoping they hit maybe the target that they're trying to hit. But even then, at the distance they're shooting at, it's pretty much just a lucky shot at that point. What's probably more probable is the fact that they could hit a house and end up killing an innocent bystander.
Yeah, and thankfully, that didn't happen here. Like you mentioned, Seattle police did say that they recovered more than 30 shell casings and bullet fragments. So you have to believe more than 30 rounds were fired in this neighborhood. Obviously, a lot of property damage, as we talked about, but miraculously, thankfully, no one injured. But neighbors here say, it happens enough that they're just worried about the time that something does happen, and they're hopeful, that the city can step in and do something before, that incident happens. I asked a lot of neighbors out here, what would you want city leaders to know if you could talk to them? What would you want them to know about what you're dealing with living out here? And they said it just kind of seems like nothing really happens until, unfortunately, there is a tragic incident, and they really want city leaders to know that somebody needs to step in before that tragic incident happens.
It seems like a lot of the crime revolves around, the drug dealing, the prostitution on Aurora. And it seems like almost that's a big part of this that leads to this, because you have this criminal entity, this group of people that are up there making money off the prostitutes working on Aurora, and then it brings the drugs in, and you've got this world within itself up there. It's a very dangerous situation that's operating right inside these neighborhoods and right outside the neighborhoods. At this point, though, it seems like police, the city, could have done something to kind of prevent this from happening, but it seems like it's just not very much at this point, enough to really do anything. And like you said, it has to be a tragedy for someone to come out and actually do something to make a difference out there.
Right. I mean, we don't have any confirmation from police on what was exactly driving this particular shooting, what was happening there, because, we don't really have any information on the suspects. But every neighbor I talk to seems to think it is connected somehow to the prostitution they deal with on an almost daily basis out here. Multiple neighbors had multiple different stories about the different things that they deal with out here. And they all just believe that shooting is somehow connected, possibly, a turf war between people running a business out here. But it was really sad to hear all of the things that the neighbors deal with. They were talking about seeing prostitutes basically changing their clothes in their front yards. One landlord said that he had to put on new floodlights on the front of his property, motion sensor, so that when people come and do whatever in the front yards, the lights come on and kind of scare them away. So those are things that neighbors out here unfortunately have to deal with, and they've been doing security measures as much as they can to their house. But it was a lot of frustration out here is what we were hearing today, basically.
It seems like the city would really want to get a handle on this, so nothing really bad does happen. I know they're down so many police officers, but did neighbors by any chance say, what they might be telling the city, or coming together and saying, hey, look, we got to get cops out here and someone patrolling this specific spot so this doesn't take place anymore? Are they planning on going to the city with something specific like that?
A lot of neighbors say that they have tried to get some kind of attention on this. That YouTube video was posted by a neighbor who says, you know, they have been trying to get the city to do something about this. It's been going on for years. So I can't imagine that city leaders don't know about it. The mood out here was, I don't want to say hopeless, but just kind of, they're just at a loss really of where to go from here.
Yeah, it's like you hear a lot about people having 911 fatigue and see a crime, see something happen. They know they should call 911, but don't because they feel like there's not going to be any response. So what's the point? And that's really a sad state of affairs when you're dealing with that kind of thing and having that kind of violence in the neighborhood. All right, Lennon, well, thanks for the update, and please keep us posted on any future developments. It's a sad situation for those people living in that neighborhood having to deal with that, pretty much being prisoners in their own space there. But thanks for joining us here on Arc Seattle tonight. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Preston.